Here we go. Good morning, everybody. Jack Leeson with StartupTrading.com. It's 9:06 here on the 17th of January. It's also OpX, 3-day weekend, inauguration on Monday, I believe. And title of the video is RIPPY Rippy mode. So we have quite an interesting setup as we go into the open, with basically closing on lows and getting what is referred to as an underwater close, which is detailed yesterday in the chat by Perry, as far as what that is. But I'll also kind of just like talk about that, and I know Perry talked about that, and why that can lead to a day like today, especially with some of the catalysts we have ahead of us. So the NASDAQ, there's a couple variations I just want to, so like we had that 4 o'clock close and then you continue selling, but we continued selling basically right into an extension, which is just a long setup. It's just, and then, but you have everybody squeezed out. The upside target I have, let me get rid of the extended session here real quick. There is an extension that we saw from what was the 330 high of Tuesday. Okay, 330 high of Tuesday, and that traded in the overnight session to lead up into our rally going into the economic data on Wednesday. And that high to high, to the end of the day high, traded during the Euro session and then just ripped higher. And then we started, we went all the way through targets and we started drawing more aggressive extensions. Those more aggressive extensions were our supports yesterday, and they were actively bid, but we just got that push lower and the NASDAQ traded the lower extension, but there was divergence because the ES never traded that lower extension. In fact, the ES traded the higher extension, which is Tuesday's high to high, which is more aggressive. That upside target, which I'm anticipating to be completed today and possibly through into a new extension, the best case for bulls is a push through 60-40 here today and beginning to hold Wednesday's high to high. We're looking at roughly a 50-point gap up here in the ES and a 300-point gap up in the NASDAQ. Now, as far as the sequences, of course, anything can happen in the market. I'm bullish bias here today, and I'm looking for those higher time frame upside targets. The NASDAQ, there's two different variations. You can draw to the RTH, and that gives us a upside target of like 21,650s, and then you can also draw to the overnight session, and that is going to give us an upside target of 21,735. So I'm going to leave it to the overnight session drawn up and be aware that 735, but also just paying attention to that 21,650 area as a potential profit target. Now, the deepest pullbacks I would really want to see for longs is nothing past, and this is, the least aggressive extension. I'm going to use that 6:45 a.m. high to high. That is your really bullish above line in the sand that I would think we really need to hold if we're going to have that aggressive bid, and that is us not getting below this 21,448. We're just going to have to see what the open looks like. If the open is extremely aggressive, we might actually start a traditional series. If we're just kind of chopping the open and then like we make a new high into 945, there might be a traditional from what will be the RTH low of the day. And I'm running under the assumption that we're going to be completing these profit targets of these extensions I mentioned. Also, to point out, one of the levels we've been watching literally, since our all-time highs is the extension from September 11th. And when we were down here a few days ago, I pointed out that the upside target of that level was well more than 2,000 points above us. And so far, the reaction out of it has been good. Us holding that low of yesterday and seeing this explosion up higher definitely gives a vote of confidence to the bulls, specifically if they can hold and close above value here today. We got, 6+ hours of trading to figure that out, but I would not be surprised to see us get up towards that extension target, even that higher one. And like Perry said in his trade plan, if you want to short, wait for structure to build. This is not a market I would be interested in shorting at this point in time. I definitely want to see profit targets. I'm long from earlier this morning. It was a really aggressive setup, and I'm already almost up 100 points. But that was just what I had to take to get into this trade, and my confidence of us going higher was pretty up there. We are opening above the prior day high. This is like a textbook setup where, in the sense that at close you have that underwater close, a capitulation, shorts trap, longs washed out, etc. And then immediately the next day, when we open above that 78% retracement, that's also something I'm going to want to see. I want to see us by the first half an hour, us still above the 78 of the prior day's range, which is going to be like 21,485 area. So if we're above 21,485 in the first half an hour, that's another vote of confidence that we're going higher. If we're below that level, then we may have deeper pullbacks. I would not be surprised at all if we came halfway back from yesterday's lows. Crazier things have happened, but if we can get that continuation up here because of that capitulation at close, we're going to be looking for these markets to run to their targets above. And that first target, like I said, is 60.40 in the ES. That could be hit literally in the first 30 minutes at this speed. And then at that point, I really think once we complete those targets, maybe then, if you want that deeper pullback, it might not come until that point of time. But by Monday, if we hit these targets here, you're looking at that -61 by Tuesday of next week, Tuesday, Wednesday, I would think, at that 60.78. So I think we're running up hard here. I would be very careful of shorts, and let me just kind of outside of talking the bigger picture, just go in, and you got to watch these series here. Like I said, the right here, this ES has already completed this extension from that morning 640 anchor. We're going to draw that same anchor new high, but really I don't want to see anything back below 60.10s off the open. I want to see us continue to run hard, just confirming this bullish bias. And then for the NQ, Jesus, we're just ripping face here. This pullback is going to be deeper. That 640 high, we never got it like we got it in the ES, right? So I'm going to have to really look for a more aggressive anchor, and I'm going to use the anchor of 830 to high as my most aggressive anchor. So really, if we don't even step back below 21,510s, that's your best bet. But even below that, this anchor here is still in play, and I would think that's probably the first really solid long entry here today. And yeah, that's really all I got. Don't be eager to short. Pay attention to these sequences below us, and we'll see if we can continue to rally after the first half an hour and once again start moving up towards these profit targets. But this is getting, when I started I'm losing my train of thought here, but these are pretty large gap ups coming off of extensions going into a 3-day weekend on OpX. So it's very interesting setup here. But with that being said, that's going to wrap up my morning trade plan. I'll share these levels with you guys in the room, and we'll see if we can punch up towards these extension targets and maybe even further.